Hi there, we're going to do a standing workout right now. The standing stuff, there's a lot of balance work which we can do in this class, and we're also going to use some mat-inspired exercises and some equipment exercises as well. So just putting those into the standing situation. All right, we'll just get started. So we're going to start thinking about the feet. So taking a look down to your feet, try and get the outside edges of the feet as parallel as you can. If it's a bit more comfortable just to have them a bit turned out, then take that. But we're going for this parallel posture here. We're looking down to the feet, and then we're going to lift all 10 toes and then Mexican wave them down to the floor. So we root down through the little toe, then the next toe, then the next toe, trying to create space between the toes, finishing by pulling the big toes towards each other. Let's do a couple more rounds of those. So we're just trying to work all those little joints and muscles into the feet, get ourselves set with grounding into the floor. And I would suggest doing this workout on the floor as opposed to on your mat. Just gives you a little bit more sense of grounding and feeling the floor underneath you. Let's do one more here, feeling all of those toes spreading, a little bit of lift through the arches of the feet. And then we'll just push down and feel beautiful and upright. And then we'll just have a little think about taking some weight further into the toes, so the toes will grip a little bit, and then taking the weight back even more into the heels, but try and keep your toes down and you might find your quads fire up a bit. So let's just do that, just feeling that distance of movement that we've got before we need to lift the heels or lift the toes. So just feeling how far you can take your center of gravity forwards and backwards. And then after a few of those sways, let's try and find the sense of being kind of in the middle. Sometimes it might feel a little bit like you've got to pull back to get this perfect alignment of the outer hips. So your greater trochanter lining up with your outer ankle bones. Now those are your lateral malleolus. All right, then once you're there, just feel nice and tall and just kind of set that posture. Neutral pelvis, pelvic headlights are nice and level, long, easy collarbones and neck sort of just balanced on top of this beautiful center. All right, then from there, we're going to start swaying from side to side. So taking your center to one side and then the other. So this is a little bit like the Leaning Tower of Pisa here, as we're shifting the weight from side to side. And again, just kind of exploring that. I like to think about keeping the collarbones fairly parallel to the floor as you're doing this shift. So it's not side bend, you're just kind of shifting the weight and pushing over, and it's like that Leaning Tower of Pisa. All right, exploring that further, we're going to take circles. So coming forward, side, back, and just keep going around in circles as you do this one. And then try and reverse. So what we're doing here is just kind of taking the center of gravity around your base of support, because we need that to feel where that is, your base of support specifically for your balance work. All right, let's come back, reset in the center and feel nice and tall. We're going to start with a little spine stretch forwards here. So pull the breastbone down into the belly, bringing the head with it, just folding forward or flexing forwards through the spine. Unlock your knees as you just gently reach down, just feeling a bit of a stretch into the back of the body as far as you feel happy going. And then rolling back up again, pushing down through the heels and stacking one vertebra at a time, back up into the upright, and then releasing the shoulders back into place. We'll do one more of those, just getting that spine moving to start with. Nice and easy. And as I say, only take this forward fold as far as you feel happy going. It might feel nice to go a bit further and see how you feel. And then returning to your standing position. Easy lengthening up through the spine. And then we open those collarbones and stand nice and tall. All right, we want to think about the alignment through the lower limbs as well as we're working. So let's have a little look at that again. Look down through to the feet. We've got them parallel, hopefully, and maybe we need to respread the toes. And then bend the knees and straighten the knees. Now, as you're working this, have a little look and check your kneecaps are lining up with your second and third toe. That's an ideal situation. We want to try and make sure everything is going forwards and parallel. Let's do one more here. Straighten and hold. Then we'll push down through all 10 toes and rise and release the heels. So we're just feeling that work. I like to think about my center here as well. That helps me balance. So I'm almost using that to lift me up. Shoulders are relaxed though. Watch you don't hoik the shoulders up to try and rise up onto the toes. Take a rest there. Let's put the two together. We're going to bend the knees and straighten and rise through the toes and release. So I really like to think about the center here to help me keep nice and tall. Center drops as you bend the knees and then rises as you lift. Good, let's do one more round. Knee bend, straighten, rise, release. All right, we're going to do a little bit of more spinal movement. We're going into some rotation. Soften the knees a little bit, grow through the crown of the head. Just lead a little twist and let the arms wrap. It's kind of easy rotation here. We're just letting the arms wrap around the body. So there's a little gentle shoulder movement. And you're just taking this again, just as far as you feel happy going with that rotation. Once you've got the feel of it, you can maybe make it a little bit bigger. Feel like you're driving it around with your tummy muscles and growing through the crown of the head as you go. Let's let that come to a stop. All right, straightening the knees back up again, reset, find that perfect posture, side bends, up and over and pour T out of one ear. Return center, go the other side. And go center. And then we let the hands slide up the side of the body. Return center, and then the other side. And then we're going to make it a little bit bigger still, bringing one arm up, sweep it up and over, lifting up and out of the pelvis as you do the side bend. Return, release, same on the other side, sweeping this arm up and over. And then we release. Nice, we're going to come into doing some standing clams here. So just really thinking about the glutes and the control through the pelvis. So pelvic headlights stay facing forwards. We're going to shift the weight just gently over onto one leg, come up onto sort of the tippy toe on the other. Keep the pelvic headlights facing forwards and just rotate onto this hip. So it's like you're rotating onto that foot. And we're going to do 4, 3, keep the length through the spine. And last one. We'll go straight in and do the same on the other side. So shift your center over to that leg, pushing up and out through the crown of the head, pelvic headlights forwards. Here we go with the rotation. So here I'm trying to keep the pelvis still and rotate the ball and socket joint of the hip of this moving leg. 3 more. Keeping the length through the spine as you go. Last one, and then we'll land that foot back down. We're going to do the clams again, but working mainly on the standing leg. So I'm going to shift over to leg number 1, land the foot onto the other sort of shin and foot there. I'm trying to keep my standing kneecap facing forwards, and I'm trying to rotate the pelvis on the still thigh. So now my pelvic headlights are moving in space. You'll notice the movement is not very big, but I'm really trying to drive it round with my standing butt cheek. And of course, there's a bit of a balance challenge going on there as well. All right, let's go ahead and do that on the other side. So pushing down through the standing leg, lifting up and out, pelvic headlights, being aware, just getting that other leg into the balance position. So on this one, this sort of free leg just comes along for the ride, pushing down through the standing leg, growing tall, moving the pelvis on your very perfectly vertical thigh bone, standing thigh bone. Last 2 here. Try and think about driving it around with the butt cheek on that standing leg as well. If I think about that, I find it fires that up all that a little bit more. Okay, coming back down, shaking that off a little bit. We're going to start working the balance a little bit harder. So we're going to start with the chair balance. Shift your body weight again over onto one leg. And this time we'll just come onto the ballet point. Just hold here for a moment, pushing down through the standing leg and growing really tall. Release. Let's do the other side. So it's that push down through the standing leg and growing up and out. that really helps with the balance. All right, then if it's available to you, you're going to come up into a chair balance. So this is your chair shape here, holding nice and tall. Let's do the same on the other side, pushing down through that standing leg, finding your center, floating that leg up. All right, we're going to challenge that just a little bit more. Do one more on each side, floating the leg up to your chair balance, hold, and then see if you can scissor the arms. So that extra thing challenges your balance. We're going to keep scissoring and switch legs. So a little bit of extra challenge there. Holding that torso nice and still, or fairly still, as you scissor the arms. Nice, let's land that back down and shake that off. Good. We're going to come into some fencer lunges now. This is going to repeat a little bit later. This is an exercise taken from some of the standing arm spring work we do on the Cadillac. So we're going to take a step out to the side and slightly forwards and bend that knee and then step back. And I'm going to go straight in and do the other side on this round. Out and back. So it's sort of out and on the diagonal, and here we want to think about that lower limb alignment as well. The knee can come beyond the toe, absolutely fine, but try not to take your body weight too far forwards. Keep it back and up as you work. Let's just do one more each side like this. And then we're going to add an arm reach. So as I step out, I'm going to reach the opposite arm across, kind of a little punch there. Or you can imagine perhaps that you've got your sword in your hand and you're reaching it forwards. Feel the connection through the abdominals as you work this. There's a bit of rotation happening. And we'll do one more on the other side. And then we're going to keep repeating onto the same side. And I'm just going to take a lunge out and then catch into a chair balance. A little practice here. So you could just come down and tap the toe, or we come up to the chair balance. We'll just do two more on this side. Up. So there's a little bit of dynamic work here. And you're really nice controlling and catching that balance. Same on the other side. Bend. Remember, you could tap if you need to, or come into your chair balance. Fencer lunge, chair balance. Keep your center between the two legs as you do this. Try not to take the weight too far forwards. It can feel a bit pressury into that knee. Let's catch and hold, and then land that foot back down again. Nice. So let's go on with a bit more mat work inspired work. We're going to head into the 100. So we'll start just nice and vertical through the spine. We're just going to reach the arms long. I'm going to build this 100 here. So we're going to pump the arms, keeping the ribs and the pelvis connected. You know this, you're going to inhale for 5 pumps, exhale for 5 pumps. Just keep that coming as we add a little layer here. So I'm just going to bend the knees a little bit, slide one foot out. I'm just going to hold that there. And you can add a leg lift if that's doable. Feel like you're lifting your leg with your tummy muscles. Last round here. Land, switch legs. Pointing it out. Hold. And then lifting the leg nice and strong through that center. Finding your balance. The extra arm pattern is giving you a little challenge there. And then release. And bring it all the way back in again. All right, we've got, I didn't mention at the beginning, but let's remind you now, so if you haven't got them, you can run and get them, is your band and your circle. So I'm going to pick up the band now, and we're going to use the band for that roll down again. I'm going to turn slightly on the side, just so hopefully you can see a little better. But we're going to place the band down. You want a nice long band for this one. And I'm going to come into a Pilates stance, which I think is really nice for this exercise, because you can make sure you can grip onto that band. And then I'm going to bring the band all the way up the back of the body and cradle the back of the head with it. Feel the length through the spine. Try and find that perfect sort of posture again as you lengthen out through the crown of the head. And then we're going to pull the breastbone down into the belly, come up and over and do that spine stretch forwards. Try and pull the tummy muscles in, so you're using the band for a little bit of support there as you come forwards into that flex position. I'm going to keep my knees straight. You could unlock them if you want to, and then return to the standing. So with this one, I tend not to come down quite so far. Returning to the vertical here. Right, let's go again. Up and over. Try and use the tummy muscle lifting to pull up and into the band, into pushing the low back into the band if you could get there. Don't worry if you don't, just keep heading it in that direction. Flexing forwards, and then I'm going to restack again, trying to push the back into the band all the way up until I get to the vertical position. It will come away when I get there. Let's try one more. Up and over. Spine stretching forwards, using the tummy muscles as you pull up and in. This is a little similar to your pedal pull exercise where you would restack the spine up against the vertical of the pedal pull. All right, releasing. So you come all the way back up into that vertical position. Let's take the band out. And then we're going to have a go at some leg circles. So we'll loop the band behind one leg and we're going to cross it over and then find your balance on the standing leg. Use the band to support the weight of this free leg as you fix the hands against the pelvis here. And then we take some little leg circles. We're just going to do 3 in each direction. And then reverse, and you're trying to keep those pelvic headlights facing forwards as you do this. Take a rest there. We'll go ahead and do the other side. So switching the band around. So again, these leg circles are just like the ones that you would do on the mat work. Same principle, and that you're holding the pelvis still while the ball and socket joint of the hip moves. We'll reverse. But of course, you've got the added challenge of balancing on one leg there. And then let's release that band down. We'll take this out and come up and bring the band out in front of you. So we've got the band now in front of us. We're going to go into a dumb waiter. So we tuck the elbows into the waist. I've got quite a nice loop here. I've got quite a strong black band. So if yours is a bit softer, you might like to take it a little bit, make that a bit tighter. Right, so we're going to pull and then control back in again. So I'm trying to keep my elbows kind of by my waist. They sort of move a little bit in space, but not much. And I'm just moving the forearms and stretching the band out to the side. And the movement actually comes from the ball and socket joint of the shoulder. And that's where we want to focus this. Feel broad through the collarbones, broad through the shoulders as well. Notice the shoulder blades do move towards each other a little bit, especially as you get into that pull back. But just feel that lovely control as you're working this. We're going to finish this round with some pulses. So pull it back. We're just going to pulse for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then release. Right, spine twist is next. So we're going to double over the band and bring it out in front of you. And just imagine you've got a beam of light shining from your breastbone to the center of that band. I'm going to bend my knees, perch on a very high bar stool, fire up the shoulders, and then take your twist and return to the center. So I'm trying to keep my sit bones on that very high bar stool here as I'm taking this twist. I'm trying to keep the dot of light into the center of the band. So the whole unit is just taken around into that rotation. Keep trying to fire up the band as well if you want a bit more work around the shoulders and the waist. And in fact, let's do that now. Take the twist and then with the back hand, pull a bit further. So you're really trying to stretch that band. Release, return to center. Let's do that on the other side. Pull the back hand so that you're just working that waist a bit more and a bit further into that twist. One more on each side. Twist, pull the band. So I'm really focusing the pull on the back hand as it reaches towards the wall behind me. And then release, coming into the center and release that down. Okay, and then we're going to do some chest expansion here. Chest expansion comes up on the reformer, on the Cadillac. So we're going to start with the band across the thighs. Let me turn this way again. So your hands are quite close to the thighs there. You're just taking up the slack of the band. Nice and lengthened through the spine again, and we're going to pull back and release. Let's just keep going with those. Straight back and release. Again, have a think about the ball and socket joint of the shoulder doing this main movement, but feel the shoulder blades glide towards each other as you do that. So there's a combination there. Let's go back and do some pulses. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. We're going to repeat that again, but change the position of the band. So we'll pop the band underneath the feet, standing side by side there, parallel, and then take up the slack of your band. Again, you can take this as tight or as loose as you like with your band. Nice and lengthened through the spine again, and pulling back and release. So notice this just changes the angle of the pull. So it feels a little bit different through the muscles. It feels like I'm going a little bit further with my arms now. I don't know if that shows. All right, let's do 2 more. So as I pull back as well, I'm pushing down through the feet, growing through the crown of the head, connecting into my tummy muscles to maintain that stability. Here we go for those pulses. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and release. We'll keep the band underneath the feet, and we're going to cross the band over. We're going to head into some sort of side splits work. This is a bit like we work on the reformer. I'm going to do carriage leg pressing. So I'm crossing the band over, fixing it onto the pelvis again. I'm going to bend the knees into a little squat here, and then press the leg out and back in. I'm going to keep going on the same leg, out and return. So I'm trying to keep low into the squat here, and it's just this leg pushing out to the side, straightening and bending. All right, I'm going to keep going with that, but I'm going to try and hover that leg off now. So imagine you're gliding the reformer out and controlling it back in, and we're using our band as that resistance and control. Last one here. Land the foot, let's straighten up, ready to do the other side. Little knee bend, shift the weight over to the standing leg, tap and pull back, tap and pull back. Keep that coming, nice and lengthened through the spine. Body weight is still over the standing leg, torso still over the standing leg. Let's lift and hold that leg, pushing out. Oh, I needed a little tap there. Let's try that again. Push, control back, push, control back. Keep it coming. Good, we've got 3 more here. A lot of work through the standing leg as well. And last one there. And then come on back up again. Nice. We're going to keep the band underneath the feet, and we're going to go back to that hip hinge that we did in the warm-up. So I'm going to come down, holding the band. I'm going to make like a little pointy finger thing here. So I'm bending the knees into and folding at the hips, straight into that hip hinge there. Actually, let's do a few of those first. So I'm going to keep this point, and then I'm going to come back up. Unlock the knees, fold at the hips. Straighten, come back up. Bend, fold, unfold, and stand. Right, here comes a change. Bend, fold, and hold. Reach this point very slightly forwards, and then we're going to take the point to one side and then the other side. So this is like your spine twist, and we're trying to get the rotation right from the waist. So it's not a pull on the arms, although the arms are doing quite a bit of work here. We're really trying to drive it around with the waist. And I'm thinking about holding my rib cage at the front of the body in. I'm feeling like I'm driving it around with my ribs. Let's do one more here. Back into the center, and then return. Nice. All right, we're going to get rid of the band for the moment and pick up your circle. All right, some nice big movements here with the discus throw. So So I tend to start this in the right hand, just because most people are right-handed. But so if you're left-handed, maybe you want to start in your left. See how you go. But anyway, I'm going to wind up around the right shoulder and then take it up and across and throw with my right hand. Wind up and throw. So just getting that sense of the pattern of movement first, and then you can make it a little bigger. And notice how I'm letting my feet pivot with the movement as well. Drop, reach up and across. And again, I'm trying to wind this all up and out through my center. Rooted through the feet, although they are shifting and changing. And we're really feeling nice and controlled. And the circle here just makes my lever a bit longer. All right, we're going to take it up and hold on this last one. I'm just going to reach away. I'm pushing down through that right foot. I'm firing up through the right butt cheek. So I'm pushing off the toes on that right foot there. All right, releasing down. Let's do the same on the other side. So I'm now into my left hand. Going to wind up around the left shoulder and then throw with the left hand. So once you've got that pattern again, you can make it a bit bigger. You can obviously keep this smaller if you need to. If that feels more comfortable for you. Whatever feels good. And again, just allowing those feet to pivot and move so we can keep that kind of alignment through the lower limb. Driving around with the waist, feeling that lovely dynamic movement through the whole of the body here. And we'll do one more complete round, and then we're going to go again and hold. Just reach that circle away, push down through the ball of the right foot, pushing off those toes, off the left foot so you can fire up the left butt cheek. Nice, and then we release back down again, coming back into the center. We're going to keep working with the circle. We're going to do a side bend here. So let's just place the circle against the thigh. So it's just about arm length away there. Sweep the other arm up and then come up and over into a side bend. Then we return to center. We'll keep this arm up and then we'll come up and over. This is a little bit like the side bend seated mermaid on the chair. So this, I'm thinking of the circle as the pedal. We're going to come up and over and hold, gently press into the circle and then control the release as you come back up. Let's do that again, up and over, gently press into the circle and then control as you come back up. We'll just do one more here, up and over, press into the circle. The press comes from the tummy and that arm, and then we return all the way up. Right, fancy transition. We're going to sweep the circle out and around, up and over the head, ready to go into the other side. Up and over the side bend. So this first sort of set, we just let the circle respond to your movement as you're doing a side bend here. Lifting up and over from the waist. And we do one more. All right, then we're going to add the press of the circle. So we come up and over, press the circle, control the release as you come back up. So really make a deliberate thing of that. We've got the press, now control the release and feel like you're controlling it from your center. Two more, up and over, press, control the release, back up through the center, and one more. Press, control the release, and bring it back in. All right, we're going to have a little play with a few lunges now. We're going to take 1 foot forwards and 1 foot back, and we'll just take the circle just in front of the chest for now. And we're just going to drop down and up, down and up. Nice and lengthened through the spine, keeping that control through the legs. Check your alignment. Whoa, little wobble there. That's it. Nice and lengthened through the spine. Just had to recheck myself there. All right, let's add the rotation. So we're going to bend the knees into your lunge, and then take a twist towards that front leg. Bring it back to the center and release. Let's do that again. Bend, twist towards the front leg, center and release. One more like this. Bend, twist, center, release. We're going to press the circle this time. Bend, twist and press the circle, release, come back, stand up. So you can kind of flow this. Let's do that now with these last two. And last one here. Bringing it back up again. Nice, we're going to do the other side. So other foot forwards, other foot back, just dropping down and up into those lunges. Again, let me have a little check on my balance here. So you do want to feel like your feet are on train tracks rather than a tightrope. You're rooted down through the feet. We're trying to keep that alignment through the body, upright through the torso, making sure the knee lines up with the toes there. So take your time to check that out. All right, let's add that twist. So we'll do it slow first. Lunge, twist towards the front leg, return, return. Two more like that. Lunge, just twist, carrying that circle around. Again, thinking about taking that whole unit with you as you go. Nice. And we do one more here. All right, and then let's flow it and squeeze the circle. So squeezing the circle as you do it and come back up. Squeeze and twist and lunge. And return. Squeeze and twist and lunge. Return. Two more. And our last one. And release. We'll bring that back up again and take a little rest there. So we're going to put the circle away now and come back to the band. We're going to work like a one-arm salute or a tricep press here. So take the band behind your back and just take one hand behind the back. The other hand is going to come overhead, pointing that elbow towards the ceiling. I'm fixing with that back hand, the one that's behind my back. And then I'm going to straighten and bend this elbow. So I'm trying to keep the upper arm still in space while the forearm moves. Check your torso as well. It's really tempting here to kind of flare the ribs forwards. So try and hold them down into the front of the body there as you reach this. 3 more. Really trying to find that straight position. 2 and a 1. Good, and then let's release and do the same on the other side. So you need to take a moment just to switch that around, bring the band behind your back, other elbow towards the sky, fix that hand in your back, and then we straighten and bend this elbow. Check that your wrist on that working arm is nice and straight. If you find it tends to sort of pull back, then point the finger. We can really help keep that wrist nice and straight as you work. One more, check into the torso, make sure the ribs are pushing down into the front body. Feel the straight of the elbow as you reach, finding the work into the triceps. Last 2 and a 1, and then we'll rest. Right, punches are next. So we're going to bring the band behind the back. And we're just going to take the hands into sort of fists and punch forwards, alternating punches. So this we sometimes do in standing with the arm springs. It's also an exercise on the baby armchair too. So this is really nice. With the band behind your back, you'll feel it pull. Try and resist the temptation to twist with it for this first round. So I'm just alternating these punches as I'm coming forwards. And then I'm going to add a twist. So I'm going to punch forwards with this back hand, allow for the twist to happen through the torso and go again. So I'm just slowing down a little bit here to try and get the control through that rotation into the torso, growing through the crown of the head. And it's quite nice. I've got that pull of the band on my back and use that to encourage you a little deeper into that twist if you can, growing through the crown of the head a little deeper. 1 more on each side. Last one. And then release. All right. Then we've done some triceps. So we're going to have a go at some biceps now. We'll start working with a bit of a squat. So we're going to put those two together. So standing with the feet a little bit separated, they might want to be sort of thigh width rather than directly underneath your hips. And we'll bend the knees and then straighten. Now let's ramp that up a little bit. So just turning, choking up your band a bit more so you can get some resistance as you push up into that straight position and really feeling like you're refinding that perfect posture as you're bending and straightening. So remember, you're bending your knees, you're folding at the hips to achieve that squat position. Feel like you're working your quads, you're pulling your kneecaps up, your thighs to fire up into that. You're working your glutes to bring you back up into that standing position as well. And last one here. All right, let's release some of that choke on the band because we're going to add some biceps in now. Holding the ends of your band as if you're holding two hammers or two bunch of flowers, and then just bend the elbows and control back. So that's quite tough because I've got a lot of pull on the band as I'm straightening up, bending the elbows and releasing. All right, let's add a squat. So we're going to bend and straighten. So because I'm dropping my torso, so I lose some of that resistance. So you can play around with this, feel what this feels like in terms of how much resistance you want to get. And in fact, why don't we change that? So we're going to bend as we straighten the elbows as we bend the knees. So just changing the pattern there will change the resistance of where you're getting the main resistance. So here I'm getting it more in my biceps. The other one might be a little bit more in the legs. Both working. Nice, let's do one more. And then release. Good. All right, we're going to keep the band for our final exercise here. Is the fencer lunges. So I'm going to stand on the band with one foot, fixing both ends to the pelvis, and then I'm going to step out with this leg and then return. Stepping out, return. Want a bit more challenge? Step out, catching a balance. Step out, catching a balance. So that's that chair balance from earlier. Last one like this. Let's land, take a reset. With the opposite hand to the foot, we're going to take that punch across. So lunge, punch across, return. Lunge, punch across, return. Feel like you're working your waist to drive that around. You've got lots of lovely arm and shoulder work, but that comes right from your center as you reach out into it. Last two. And a one, and a return. Right, let's go the same on the other side. So into your standing position, fixing the band against the pelvis. Let's just take that lunge first of all and return. Feel free to take a little look at that leg, make sure it's lining up where you want it. Make it a little more challenging with the catching of the chair balance. Lunge, catch into the vertical with the chair balance. Two. I'm not sure I caught that last one. Let's go there and catch. And land back down. Right, so here we go with the punch across. Or, of course, maybe you're thinking about you're holding your sword and you're driving around with your waist as you're working these lunges. We'll do two more. Last one. And release. All right, nice. So that's the main bulk of the work out of the way. We'll pop the band off to one side. We're going to do butterfly and bat just to finish, and then we'll have a final roll down stretch. So we're going to take the arms out to the side and just feel nice and long. Feel like your thumbs are lining up with your collarbones rather than your shoulder blades. So we've got that nice length through the spine. The hands are slightly in front of the line of the body. Stay here, coming up and over. So this is your butterfly, just nice, easy control as you do the side bend, keeping this shape exactly the same as you go. All right, we're going to do that one more time each side with a little difference. Up and over. You're going to stay there and just turn to look to that bottom hand. A little bit of neck rotation as well. Center, other side. Turn and look to that bottom hand. Back up through the center. Here comes another change. We're going to turn, side bend, turn and look to that hand. Now keep following it around as we come up onto the toes. Pivot around as you cross your feet and hands face the back. Then we're going to go back the way we came, up and around, out to the wide stance, straight into the other side. Side bend, look down. Keep going with those arms as you pivot around up onto your toes. Hold, and then come all the way back around again. Let's just finish here, up and over, and just side bend and hold. Take a nice breath into the side of the body there. Return, we'll do the other side. Up and over and just hold. Take your time to feel breath into that top side of the rib cage. Bring it back up and release. Reset the feet. Mine have crept a little bit further apart as I was working the bat. All right. Then we'll do a roll down. We're going to add an arm circle here. So taking the arms up and overhead, bringing the hands down in front of you. Follow them forwards as you come up and over. Remember having that band in the back of your body? Pull your toe muscles up and in, imagining that band is there. You might find you can go a bit further forwards here, especially if you unlock your knees. That feels good. And then push down through the heels, restacking the spine. Let's float these arms up with us as we go. And then bring the arms out and around to the side. We're going to do one more complete round like that. Bringing the arms up and over. They come in front. Follow them forwards. Again, taking your time, using your tummy muscles to lift here, feeling that easy articulation through the spine. Folding forwards as far as you want to go. It might feel nice to have a nice good stretch there, feeling the stretch into the back of the body. Push down through the heels, restacking the spine as you come on up, floating those arms as you come up. Hold. Circling out and around. Let's go again with that arm circle, bringing the arms up. Hold. Just drop the armpits and then really reset through that posture, just like we did at the beginning of class. Keep growing through the crown of the head as you float the hands out to the side. And well done. Hope you enjoyed your standing class.